Hey, we got a spare of almost everything that we could have a spare. We don't have a spare silage wagon, but like hay cutters and a hay rake, and used to have well, I do have a spare tedder also. Don't have a spare baler, but I don't have a spare silage cutter that I can use, but I got an old parts one down here. As you can see, this is the header off of it that I get parts off of. From time to time, got the whole machine back there that we can get pieces off of and whatnot. But shucks, many years ago, just an interesting story, many moons ago, Dad, when I was in high school, Dad would tell me to get the silage cutter and the equipment ready to go, because he was going to start cutting silage that Saturday morning. And so I said, yes, sir. And when Dad tells you something, you better do it. He was a good guy, but he's meant what he said. He said what he meant. And so I come home from school, and well, I started greasing it up and everything, and I got most of the stuff done. Dad had been away on a trip, and he was getting back that evening. Well, he'd gone to a farm bureau function of some kind. And I noticed that all the chains were a little loose on there, so I decided to tighten them up. So I tightened up every blessed one of them, and there was one. It's always one. Come to one of them, I could not get to move, could not get to tighten. It has one sprocket at the bottom that you loosen up, and see, it should be the one that'd be down here. This it wasn't this particular one, it was the one on the other side, and I'll show you that. It's down there. But it would not move for nothing, and so I decided, well, I'll just tap it a little bit with a hammer. I tap. Nothing. I couldn't get it to slide, the sprocket to slide. So I got me a bar and put on it, and had about 4 foot sticking out, and I got a big hammer, and I said I'll just tap it, and I tap, and I said, well, give it a good whack, and I felt it move. I said, oh boy, it's moved. That wasn't such a good thing, because it had moved, but the reason it moved is because it broke in 3 pieces. It was completely busted, and kind of like this one here. You can see how this one's busted. Yeah. But anyhow, I said, oh, this is not good. Dad's expecting this machine to be ready to go tomorrow morning. So this is about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening, and the dealers for farm equipment around here, New Holland, well, we didn't have one anywhere near. It's like an hour and a few minutes away. They'd have been closed by the time I called them, and this is a part that they wouldn't have really had in anyhow, and it wouldn't have got there by tomorrow morning. This is 40 years ago, so 41 years ago. There was nothing I could do. I thought maybe I could take and braze the thing back together, but it's cast iron, and it's kind of under a fair amount of pressure. I wasn't thinking that brazing was going to hold, so I don't know. So I walked around and started looking. I could not just let it go. I couldn't tell Dad, well, I broke it, we'll have to wait till, next week to cut this. The corn was ready, and Dad told me to have it ready, so I better daggone well have it ready. So I started looking around at every piece of equipment that I have on this farm to find a sprocket that I could maybe use for that. I could not find one anywhere. Look, we have an excellent supply of spare parts in our fence rows where we have old junk equipment sitting, just for future reference, and like any good farm should have. Anyway, I looked and looked and looked, could not find anything, and I was despairing as to what I was going to do. And finally I thought, you know what, down there we moved that thing a while ago. We have from the 1800s an old horse-drawn hay loader, one of them things you pull, like it looks like you're pulling it backwards and behind a wagon. It picks up the hay and it goes up and dumps it in there. Anyhow, it was an old horse-drawn thing from the late 1800s. And I go down there and I look, and there is, sure enough, there's a sprocket on there. It had 2 more teeth on it. It was too big around, but it was for the same size chain. And so I quick unbolted the darn thing and took it up, chucked it up in the lathe and machined out the middle of it to fit this thing, hoping that it wasn't too big around it would still work on there. So I machined it out, just hoping that it would hold up till we got the new piece to put in it. Got it machined out, bolted it all up. About the time it got dark and Dad got home, I was just putting the tools away, and I didn't even mention none of this to him. He just asked if did I have things ready. Yes, sir. I got it ready to go. Ready to go. No problem. So anyhow, we used that cutter for 40 years, 35 years anyway, with that sprocket on there. And it's the one that's on this heater. I'm going to turn this thing around and show you. It's that sprocket down there is the one, and it's still on there. I got to take it off there before we scrap this thing, because I got to keep that sprocket. I got to put it back on that hay loader. Never know when you might want to use it. But anyhow, I just thought that was amazing that that old thing not only got us through that year, but it stayed on there for 35 years till the rest of the header wore out and the rest of the cutter wore out, and I ended up getting another old one, and it was a little bit better shape than this. Nursing that through year after year, just like I do all my equipment. So anyhow, I thought you might enjoy that story, and I did tell Dad after a while, after a few years, or maybe it was just the next week, I can't remember, but after I realized it was going to hold up, I told him. So anyhow, thought you might enjoy that story. I'll catch you later.